everyone, welcome back to the channel. This week, I'm the whiskey nerd.
So, does that make me the whiskey noob?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Haha.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. Like we said, Rose is actually leading this review this week because we just hit 500 subscribers, so it was a little bit of a kind of a shake things up a little. She's going to lead a review of a very nice whiskey that I think you actually really enjoyed. This was a whiskey we got it a few months back. You really liked it, and it was the reason she wanted to get involved in this because she finally found a whiskey that she enjoyed. This is the Whistler Mosaic Marsala wine cask.
Yeah.
So let's get into the glass and we'll tell you a bit more about it.
Yes. I just want to say as well, this whiskey really is what got me into whiskey, I would say. It is so tasty. It is the first bottle of whiskey I ever bought for myself. And I think that's really saying something. It is perfection through and through.
Yeah, and it's actually a fairly unique whiskey by Irish whiskies, by actually most whiskey standards. So this is a single grain whiskey. Now, normally in a blended whiskey, single grain makes up the majority of the components. So they'll take a grain whiskey and then they'll add some single malt to it or some single pot still whiskey to it to add some extra flavor, because typically a grain whiskey by itself is kind of seen as being thin or light on flavor. So what the Whistler have done here, though, instead of adding a different type of whiskey to add extra flavor, they've taken whiskey and they've added it to Marsala wine casks. So Marsala is a kind of a cousin of sherry. It's a fortified wine from Sicily. So it's got a little bit lighter notes than your standard sherry notes, more kind of citrusy, more kind of fruity, and kind of lighter and friendlier, and that mixed really well with this whiskey. The whiskey they got was from Middleton. It was a 5-year-old single grain whiskey. I think it was aged fully in bourbon barrels for those 5 years, and then they put it in for about a year and a half in those Marsala wine casks. So it would just soak up all those extra fruity notes, all those extra notes. So it kind of is a good combination of the buttery, kind of smooth, rich, sweet vanilla notes you get from those bourbon casks, and then the fruity, citrusy notes you get from the Marsala wine casks.
It's my favorite whiskey. It's so tasty.
Let's go into it.
Let's get into it.
She's going to lead off, so she's going to tell us what she gets on the nose.
Alright, so we're going for the nose. I think I get light citrusy notes. Something that's not caramel, but maybe a cousin of caramel.
Like a toffee?
Yes.
Go back to that citrus. So what kind of, is it an orange? Is it a lemon? Is it a lime?
I would give it orange zest.
Orange zest, okay.
Orange zest.
You typically get that. I almost think of it more like a zest of a lime, but that kind of same, think of that kind of...
But not really any lemon. I don't really get lemon.
Not lemon, definitely not lemon. It's definitely on the kind of the richer, sweeter side as opposed to the tangier side.
Yeah.
Anything else? Go back to that caramel. It's not caramel, is it a toffee?
It is toffee.
Toffee.
Ooh, butterscotch candy.
Butterscotch candy?
I had that a lot as a kid.
Yeah. Any vanilla?
I think, it's whiskey, so I feel like vanilla is pretty much a standard one.
It's a safe bet to say vanilla.
It is a safe bet. But I think that the other flavors, the other aromas, outweigh any sort of natural vanilla that's in it.
Yeah, there is a bit of vanilla, but it's definitely got that citrusy note. It's got that kind of caramelly sweetness kind of sitting on top of that.
And you wouldn't imagine citrus to go well with a butterscotch, but they make it work.
But it does, yeah. This is actually a really nice whiskey.
Let's
it's
get
definitely a crowd pleaser whiskey.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying?
I was saying, let's get into the glass now. Oh, this is nice. This is real nice.
So first sip, what's your first impression?
Oh my gosh. First impression, perfection. Can that be summarized? Perfection.
Okay.
And more of the toffee, more of the butterscotch. I would say the vanilla for me is less of straight up vanilla and more of the vanilla sticks.
Beans? Yeah, vanilla
bean sticks maybe?
Yeah.
Did you get the store?
I feel this whiskey is just it's kind of like drinking butter. It's very smooth.
Oh, it's so smooth. It has the greatest ratio of the initial notes of sort of that butterscotch, the vanilla bean. It's got some of those citrus notes, the zesty notes, in just perfect moderation. And there's a slight burn at the end, but it's only so that you are reminded of what you're drinking, and it is not too much whatsoever. Yeah, it's just a great journey.
It is 46% alcohol, so it's a nice kind of level of alcohol in there. It's not too much, but it's a nice bit of flavor. So go in again and see if you can find any more notes on the palate.
I'm kind of getting like a hazelnut, like a nutty note.
Yes, definitely nutty note. What else? What kind of hazelnut? Like, is it like you're eating a nut, or more like the hazelnut kind of sweet flavor? Okay.
Maybe like a light chocolate.
Yes, I definitely get some like hazelnut. Like if you think of like a chocolate bar that has hazelnuts in it.
Yes.
Where the chocolate,
like a Hershey's bar.
Yeah, where the chocolate has that flavor of hazelnut in it. That kind of like smooth, sweet bit of nuttiness in there, right?
Yeah. Like what else? It has everything.
It's a really good. So go in again. See what note kind of hangs around the longest.
How about you go in and tell me what note hangs around the longest?
Okay.
I get more of like the zesty bits, like the citrusy zesty bits on the finish.
Okay. And you think what fades away the first?
Oh gosh. Maybe the sort of butterscotchy toffee kind of notes.
That sweetness fades.
Yeah, that sweetness fades. It came up quick, it fades quick. Then I would say like the chocolatey notes fades next. The hazelnut fades second to last, and then last is like the citrusy notes.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of spice. No, you might be mixing the citrus with the spice, but I'm getting the citrus definitely, but there's also a little bit of spice.
Yeah, I think there's spice throughout it.
Yeah, there's definitely spice, a nice layer of spice throughout it, but I think for me, that little bit of tingly, citrusy spice at the end is what I'm left with.
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful journey. What do you think about it?
Oh, I really like this whiskey. Like, as I said, grain whiskey, it's not the most common type of whiskey you'd see in Ireland. It's not the most common type of whiskey you'd see in the markets kind of anywhere. But when it's done right, it can be really nice. Like, this is definitely a crowd pleaser whiskey, like the Mosaic Marsala. It's definitely meant to be something that if someone says, I don't like whiskey, they can say, you can get them that.
This one, for sure. Like when I say, I am totally serious when I say, this is the first bottle of whiskey I ever bought for myself. It's probably a bottle that I will keep buying. And it's just everyone that I've given little sips to, guys, girls, into whiskey, not into whiskey, they all universally love it.
This was, I think it was like her Harry Potter wand choosing the wizard. She tasted this and she was like, oh, that's what a whiskey can be. And then using that, she was able to get those caramel notes and go, oh, okay, and find those in other whiskeys, get the spicy notes, find them in other whiskeys.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, that was like a great intro whiskey.
It was.
Yeah.
It's an intro whiskey, and for anyone who just wants something delicious, go for it.
So I think that's where we're going to leave the review this week.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below if you want to see more reviews featuring Rose, her unique style of giving notes. We put out reviews every Wednesday and cocktail recipes every Friday, so subscribe, you'll see them all. Let's launch it.
Bye-bye! I'm so uncomfortable being the lead. This is a new whiskey for us to do that I don't know what I'm talking about.